Spring in Town by Lord Dunsany. At a street corner sat and played with a wind, winter disconsolate. Still tingled the fingers of the passers-by, and still their breath was visible, and still they huddled their chins into their coats when turning a corner they met with a new wind. Still windows lighted early sent out into the street the thought of romantic comfort by evening fires. These things still were, yet the throne of winter tottered, and every breeze brought tidings of further fortresses lost on lakes or boreal hill slopes. And not any longer as a king did winter appear in those streets, as when the city was decked with gleaming white to greet him as a conqueror, and he rode in with his glittering icicles and haughty retinue of prancing winds. But he sat there with a little wind at the corner of the street, like some old blind beggar with his hungry dog. And as to some old blind beggar, death approaches, and the alert ears of the sightless man prophetically hear his far-off footfall. So there came suddenly to Winter's ear the sound, from some neighboring garden, of Spring approaching as she walked on daisies, and Spring approaching looked at huddled inglorious Winter. "Begone," said Spring. "There's nothing for you to do here," said Winter to her. Nevertheless, he drew about him his grey and battered cloak, and rose and called to his little bitter wind, and up a side street that led northward strode away. Pieces of paper and tall clouds of dust went with him as far as the city's outer gate. He turned then and called to Spring. "You can do nothing in this city," he said. Then he marched homeward over plains and sea, and heard his old winds howling as he marched. The ice broke up behind him and foundered like navies. To left and to right of him flew the flocks of the sea-birds, and far before him the geese's triumphant cry went like a clarion. Greater and greater grew his stature as he went northwards, and ever more kingly his mien. Now he took baronies at a stride, and now counties, and came again to the snow-white frozen lands, where the wolves came out to meet him, and, draping himself anew with old grey clouds, strode through the gates of his invisible home, two old ice barriers swinging on pillars of ice that had never known the sun. So the town was left to Spring, and she peered about to see what she could do with it. Presently she saw a dejected dog coming prowling down the road, so she sang to him and he gambolled. I saw him the next day strutting by with something of an air. Where there were trees she went to them and whispered, and they sang the arboreal song that only trees can hear, and the green buds came peeping out as stars while yet it is twilight, secretly one by one. She went to gardens and awakened from dreaming the warm maternal earth. In little patches bare and desolate she called up like a flame the golden crocus, or its purple brother like an emperor's ghost. She gladdened the graceless backs of untidy houses, here with a weed, there with a little grass. She said to the air, "Be joyous." Children began to know that daisies blew in unfrequented corners. Buttonholes began to appear in the coats of the young men. The work of spring was accomplished.